Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. I'm your host, Lily Allen Duenas. Together we'll talk about the world of yoga and we'll talk to people from around the world. Before diving into the episode, I wanted to invite you to join me for online yoga classes. I'm teaching everything from yoga for people who say they can't do yoga to strong vinyasa flows. I'd love for you to join me. I also do have some coupons to give away for new students. If you click the link in my show notes or head on over to my website, wildyogatribe.com, you'll find everything you need. And I actually just launched a new website. I would love for you to take a look and let me know your thoughts. Feel free to reach out on social media wherever makes the most sense for you. Ready to dive into the show? Let's get started. Namaste and welcome back to the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by Aurélie Martin Scally, who goes by Lily, and she's a yoga teacher who founded 5 yoga studios in Morocco. She first founded Om Yoga Studios in 2013 and then founded Epic Yoga Festival in Marrakech in 2019, and then since January 2021, she also has been running Epic Yoga teacher trainings in Morocco. Lily studied ashtanga yoga in Thailand and aerial yoga with Cirque du Soleil artists. So thank you so much, Lily, for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Hello.
It's always fun to say your own name. So hello, Lily. This is Lily. I always get a laugh out of that.
And we write it exactly the same way also.
Even more perfect, just like the flower. So, Lily, to start our conversation, how did yoga come into your life and what has that journey been like for you?
So, it's a long story, but to make it short, so I had my first job was a journalist. I was an art journalist in Paris, and then I moved to Casablanca for my work for a few months. And during this time, I met the man who is now my husband, Nabil. He was a Bikram yoga teacher and he had a Bikram studio. So I started yoga with him, practicing. I did a lot of dance, especially classical dance and modern jazz. And Bikram yoga reminds me so much of the precision and the posture of dancing. And at this time, my father passed away. He had a heart attack, so I was not prepared, and it was very hard for me. And the only thing I could do at this time was going into the hot yoga room to practice Bikram yoga 3 times a day. So I could not work anymore. I could not write anymore, nothing except doing yoga. So it was really like a therapy. Actually, I did a kind of first yoga teacher training just by the practice, I would say. And after that, we decided together with my husband to close Bikram Yoga Studio and to open a new studio, including Bikram and many yoga styles also. So it was the beginning of the adventure. It was, 11 years ago, 10 years ago.
I'm so grateful that yoga was there for you in that time of loss and of grief. Yoga can be such an incredible tool for coming back to ourselves and not escaping, because I feel that when I'm going through difficult times, it can be very tempting to run away, to escape. But yoga helps us to stay present. Do you find that to be true as well?
Yeah, of course. It's a very important tool in our lives today. And we are so lucky that now anybody can do yoga. It's for everybody. And even if it's just 60 minutes in a day, even if it's 60 minutes in a week, depends on your life. But these 60 minutes are for you by yourself on your mat with your breath and meditation, your spirit and your body. And you have to deal with all of that. And such a tool.
I agree. So what has opening a yoga studio and now 5 yoga studios in Morocco, what has that been like? What's been the most kind of exciting part of it or the most challenging elements of that journey?
Very challenging, yeah, of course, because 10 years ago, yoga in Morocco was not really like an activity. It was just for a very small part of people. I would say Nabil, my husband, did already a big job on that with his Bikram Yoga studio. He opened it 5 years before. So we already had a small community of practitioners when we started. So we were at this period very new for the people. A yoga studio proposing so many different yoga styles. It was very new here in Morocco.
It used to be more just one yoga studio, one style, correct?
Yeah, this was 10 years ago. It was everywhere like that. When you wanted to go to practice yoga, you go to a yoga studio and you have to pick a style first. You go to ashtanga studios, vinyasa studios, or iyengar or hot yoga studios. We wanted to open a yoga studios with all the styles. We wanted to give the opportunity to practice a style depending on how they are today. Sometimes you just want to practice yin. Sometimes you are strong enough to practice ashtanga or vinyasa. We are not always the same. I think the practice has to follow your body and mind depending on the day. So this is what we wanted to create with Om Yoga. It was new for Morocco, but it was new also for people coming from outside. This is what attracts people. We had many people coming from Europe, but also from New York, from Washington, just to experience all these styles.
I think it's so beautiful as well to have that ability to listen to yourself, to what your own heart and body needs for the day, and then have that available to you in the space with the teachers and with the energy and the atmosphere you're used to not have to be forced to each other studios and schedules and everything, but to have it all be just the shala, the home, the place you go to. That's so beautiful, Lily. I love that.
Thank you.
And so do you feel like as a studio owner, because I think you're the first yoga studio owner I've talked to who owns 5 studios and has founded so many. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what that's like for you to teach and to own so many studios.
Yeah, it's a good question. You do everything at the meantime. You're a yoga teacher, you do marketing, you do sales, you do finance, you do everything. And then when we had the opportunity to open in Marrakech, decided with my husband and the kids, we decided to move to Marrakech. So we opened Om Yoga Marrakech in the Movenpick Hotel. So it was in partnership with a hotel. It was our first partnership. And the condition of this partnership was that we were there to launch the studio for 2 years. This is what we did. But we did it also with the idea to duplicate the concept of integrating yoga studios in other places, can be hotels, any places that fits for yoga studios. And so when we did that, at the beginning, we were thinking, okay, how can we manage if we want to launch a yoga studio without being there? Because we wanted our yoga studios to live also without us as a teacher, without us at the desk, without us every day with the people. So yeah, we created this kind of template and very quickly we opened more studios. So we had to hire teachers, a lot of teachers, to hire also studio managers.
It sounds so like generous, like such a generous energy, Lily, that you want to this yoga studios to live and breathe and exist without you or your husband needing to be there. It seems like you kind of have to be very mindful also in how you're cultivating the energy and which teachers you hire to kind of make sure that same energy lives in the studio even when you're not there. Do you find that really challenging to get that intention and keep it alive?
Yeah, of course it is, because also yoga teachers or just people working in the yoga industry also in this spirit that they want to do things from themselves, especially with all the social media and everything. So people, they want to enter into yoga to live something first and to experience something, and they want to experience things by themselves. It was the most challenging, I would say, as a studio owner, is to create a staff of people with the yoga spirit, but also being able to work for a company with the company spirit also at the meantime. It's hard for me to put all of this together, and it's hard to find the people with the same spirit. What I'm talking about is more when you are a yoga teacher, you are just certified. And believe me, I had many yoga teachers in my studios. So they are just certified, and you want to do things, which is very good. You want to do workshops, you want to do retreats. And when you enter a yoga studio, then you are, okay, this is my people. The people coming for my classes are my people. And when you are a studio owner, you are not 100% agree with that, because you are doing a big job to have these people coming to the studio. And when the teacher arrives, he already has everything set up for him. So it's important as the yoga teacher to understand that the studio is a real partner. It's a real relation. And this relation is strong when it relies on trust and honesty.
That makes sense. Kind of having that ability to respect the business model and the business as a partner in that relationship with the teacher and the studio. So why do you feel like Morocco is such a beautiful place to practice yoga? What about Morocco has called out to you as the place you wanted to have your studios in?
I lived there. So the opportunity to open the studio was just there. I didn't pick Morocco from the outside and I said, okay, I want to open a studio in Morocco. You see what I mean? But I was very excited because, well, as yoga was not part of the life here, you started with people knowing nothing about yoga. Most of them, there were, not now, but 10 years ago, most of them, there were beginners. And you have to start everything from scratch. So as they are learning from you, you are learning from them also. This is very precious.
Thank you for sharing that. And Lily, I'd love to get a little bit of your advice, because I feel like most yoga teachers I speak with eventually one day want to own their own yoga studio. What advice or what kind of would you explain to them when someone just says, oh, I want to open my own yoga studio one day? What is your general kind of advice that you offer?
I would say to keep the balance in what you are doing. You give a lot when you teach, but it brings you a lot also. It's really sharing. And it's important if they want to build their own yoga studio to keep this in mind also, because having a yoga studio is like having any business. Be careful of not being lost in the yoga studio. Keep your practice, keep your teaching, because it's so important for you, for the students, and it brings you to what you love from the beginning, which is yoga spirit. So I would say also to be careful of not teaching too much. I know that when you have your own yoga studio, you want to teach a lot, or sometimes you have to. So that's important also to not burn yourself, because it can be hard to, in one day, to go from marketing to the desk to speaking to all the people, then to, okay, breathe. Now I'm a yoga teacher. It's so many caps, So taking time to make the balance between all of that, and not forget that you are stronger when you have time for you to get energy also.
Great advice. I think for any entrepreneur out there, the whole burnout can be very real, very present, and anything we can do to keep more balance and relieve some of that pressure. I like how you said it. It is so many caps, it's so many hats, and I think having that kind of awareness to not burn out. Lily, I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing with your Epic Yoga Festival, with your Epic Yoga retreats, and your teacher trainings. I feel like you have so much going on. So what would you like to talk about first?
Yes, so let's start with the festival. It was the first edition because it was just before COVID arrived. It was in June 2019 in Marrakech. And we called it a yoga festival, but actually it was more yoga masterclass between yoga and cultural experiences, artistic experiences. So it was during the masterclass, we have a 3 hours masterclass with up to 5 yoga teachers coming, with musicians, with artists, dancers, performers, And the idea behind that is that all these beautiful people meet 1 week before. They come all together, they stay as a residence, and they create the sound, the music, the dance. The yoga teachers come and they create together a 3 hours practice, mixing all of that. So it's kind of an experience and performance. And again, the idea behind that is for everybody, for the people participating, but also for the teachers and all the staff to live a real experience together, to share something with stars in their eyes, I would say.
Amazing. And are you planning on having one here in 2022?
Yeah, we're gonna have the edition in 2022 gonna be more private. We had more than 1,500 people in the first edition. So the second one gonna be in October in the Moroccan desert, in the Sahara desert. It's gonna be much smaller. We expect 500, 600 due to COVID reasons. Also at the meantime, yoga teacher trainings. And we wanted to experience the private edition of Epic Festival also.
That sounds very intimate, very transformational to have just 500 people come together in the Sahara, and hopefully with also dancers, musicians, performers, and other artists. It seems like something very profound can take place as well in that kind of a small container.
Yeah.
And how about we talk a little bit more too about the yoga teacher trainings you offer? Is there particular styles you focus on, or a type of philosophy or methodology that you weave into the trainings?
Yeah. So the first teacher trainings we created is called Move, Feel, Connect. It's a fusion of different styles. So we could say it's a hatha flow if we want to put it on a specific style. But I would say, again, we created together with my husband, and he's a Bikram teacher at the beginning. I'm more a Vinyasa Ashtanga teacher at the beginning. And our teaching is totally different. But when we are together, when we are giving a class together, we felt that the people, they find things from both of us, different things. So we wanted to create a teacher training that gives to the future teacher the opportunity to teach the style that represents themselves, but also to adapt it to the people they have in front of them. So we give the tools to teach hatha with a lot of alignment, a lot of anatomy, but also the tools to teach more vinyasa styles with a spirit, with a lot of intuition on the movement, with the mix of yoga and breath work. So this is Move, Feel, Connect. This year, this January 2022, we started also another type of yoga teacher trainings. So we had hot yoga teacher trainings. And I'm right now on a vinyasa teacher training, which is more intermediate. It's also a teacher training dedicated to teachers who already have a first teacher training. And we work together really on the creation of flow, creation of finding your own voice, your own way to teach.
Beautiful. Those sound like incredible trainings. Do you do anything online as well, or is it all in person?
No, we do. Our teacher trainings are also online if you want to join online. So it can be on a direct, like at the meantime by Zoom, or we are also now recording all our content. So we're going to propose within the next 6 months the whole certification totally online. So we want to mix online and in person. So people, they can start online with different things, but also at a certain point, we would like to have people, even if it's for 1 week, more as a retreat YT, so that we meet the person and we can give really direct feedbacks. We can feel also the vibration of the person to give good feedbacks.
I love that. That's a great idea to have that mix. I hope our listeners are curious, and maybe some of them don't actually know too much about Morocco. Would you mind, Lily, actually telling our listeners a little bit about the country?
Of course. So first, I would say if you have never been to Morocco, just come to Morocco because it's an amazing country. Really. Morocco is, of course, in Africa, in North Africa. It's quite easy to live in Morocco. even if the culture, the fundamental culture is not the same, is different. It's an Arabic culture, but people are open-minded. They speak many languages. If you come as a visitor, imagine the country. You have the sea, you have the mountains, you have the desert, you have forest from the north to the south. It's so different. Like the geography, things to explore are very various, and it's very safe. People are so nice, welcoming. They want to meet you. They open the doors of their house. It's a Mediterranean country. The food is amazing. The music, they love to dance, they love to share, they love to meet, to speak.
So glad you mentioned the geography. I was just going to say, so it's not all deserts, because I know some people think it's all deserts. So.
No, it's not. You can ski in Morocco. You can go for hiking. You can surf. You can go in the desert, of course, on the camel rides. Casablanca is a very cosmopolitan city, very modern. So you have high building, and it's more like a kind of little Dubai. And Marrakech is very traditional, but also very modern. Tradition mixing with modernity. And this is what the country has to deal with. And they are doing it great.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us more about Morocco. You definitely have me dreaming of it now on this gray, cold day in the north of France. So, Lily, I love to ask every guest I have on the show, what is your personal definition of yoga? I know it can be so easy to quote the sutras or to go back, but is there something that you feel like really resonates for you about how you define or how you think of yoga?
It's such an easy question, but the answer is so hard. It's so many things at the meantime. My definition would be yoga is a tool. Yoga means union. So of course, this is what resonates to me. Yoga is a way to find the balance in you, in your body, in your mind, in your breath, in your life. We are all these colors, so many colors, not just black and white, but also blue and all this stuff. And yoga is all of that. Practicing yoga, you, of course, discover yourself, but you do more than that. You accept all these variations of color that you can have inside you, and you learn how to live with that.
Amazing. I love that. It's very poetic. The world is not black and white, and then yoga is a way to discover all of the colors inside of you. It's beautiful. And Lily, what do you feel like yoga has taught you?
So yoga has taught me to be patient, to make sure that to listen to yourself, to listen to your heart. And yoga has taught me that everybody has its own answer. And we forget that. From the beginning, we listen to our parents, we listen to advices, but we don't really need all of that. I think everybody, when they really listen to what you want, then you're going to find your way.
Oh, this has been so fun, Lily, to get to hear more about you and your journey and your amazing studios and offerings. If some of our listeners today want to learn more about you, I will link everything in the show notes as well as on my website, wildyogatribe.com. But do you want to share where our listeners can find you?
It's quite hard to find me. Right now, you can find me in Casablanca in my yoga studios. But in 3 months, you're going to find me more in Europe. We're going to start a world tour, an epic world tour. So we're going to start it in the end of 2022. And I'm going to open, of course, a new page, maybe a new website to follow our travel all over the world. For that, we're going to give yoga retreats. We're going to give yoga teacher trainings, but also yoga masterclass under the concept of the festival on a different spot in the world. And behind that, we're going to travel with my husband and family and kids. We're going to travel by van, by boat, and different ways all over the world to cover, meet people, experience culture, and also highlight on the ecology, environment, and wellness. I'm going to share with you, of course, my Instagram account, Om Yoga.
It just sounds like the dream to do van and boat and get to travel and do workshops, retreats, and master classes all around the world. Do you have an agenda already figured out a little bit?
Yeah, starting in South America. We're going to announce all of that. And we want also to create a kind of epic caravans. This is really what we would like, is having people also joining us in our trip. It's not just a personal family trip. It's really open to anyone. If you have a van, you have a car, you just want to come and follow us and stay a few days, 1 week, 1 month. This is the idea also, to open and share our experience with others.
So beautiful. Thank you, Lily, so much for the gift of being with me today. It has been a joy to be with you.
Thank you so much for thinking about me, and it was a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. My conversation with Aurélie Martin Scally, who founded 5 yoga studios in Morocco, was so incredible as we took a deep dive into the world of studio ownership and how to cultivate energy and spirit in multiple yoga studio centers. We also discussed yoga as a way to find balance, as the world isn't black and white, and yoga is a way to discover, see, and accept all the variations of colors you have inside of yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Wild Yoga Tribe podcast. Be well. Remember to hit subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you feel called, please share this episode with someone you think could benefit from it. Leaving a review would also be so appreciated. Feel like getting social? Connect with the Wild Yoga Tribe and with me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you are. I would like and hope I'm there too. Head on over to thewildyogatribe.com and tap into some pretty awesome and amazing resources on my newly designed website. You can also meditate with me on Insight Timer or join me for live streamed and on-demand yoga classes on Moxie. Links are in the show notes or on my website as well. I'll see you there. Also, I just wanted to say thank you again, dear listener, for being with me. May your day be bright and light. May you be peaceful and happy and led on the right path, free of suffering and sorrow. Be well, dear one. Be well.